Okay, so the second entry of the subject is called the answer. Okay, so this is our answer here. Okay, so it's the first time that the subject comes back and it will be transposed. Something will be different about it. Now, there's two ways that this can happen. There's what's called a real answer and what's called a tonal answer. Okay, so let's look at a real answer first, because that's what we have here. I was going to make you guess, but then I thought, well, I'm just going to tell you. So a real answer is a direct transposition. Okay, nothing fancy. So here we have G, D, B flat. Okay, let's just keep track of those first three notes. Okay, so what are our intervals here? G up to a D is a fifth, and then down a third. So let's actually keep track of this interval and then G to B flat. So we're basically outlining a triad here, a G minor triad. Easy enough. Let's look here. What do we have here? D is our first note, so we're transposed up a fifth. Okay, so G to D is up a fifth. So we're a fifth higher. So if everything is transposed exactly correct, this note needs to be a fifth higher than this note, which it is. It's an A. And then this note needs to be a fifth higher than this note. And I'm saying all of this incorrectly. A fourth lower is what we're really looking at here, right? So either a fifth higher or a fourth lower, which would result in the same notes. I always have this habit of saying fifth higher when it's actually a fourth lower. So let's be actually correct here. This is our subject. The answer is a fourth lower. Okay, that's what it's actually doing here. So what we typically see almost all the time is the answer is a fifth higher or a fourth lower, either of those two things. So we have here a real answer. That's what it's called when it's a direct transposition, right? Let's look at this next note. Now this note is altered, right? So it's an E. Is that a fourth lower consistent with the rest of these from A? It is, right? So we're still just directly transposing things. We have to add some accidentals to keep it in, to keep the transposition accurate. That C sharp, transposition of that F sharp, everything lines up just fine. So that's a real answer. Now, what is the result of the real answer? The result is that we've really kind of propelled ourselves up into the fifth, right? So we've kind of, I don't know if we'd want to say modulated at this point. It's a little too early to tell, but we've kind of tonicized the 5 here, and the first voice kind of is going to have to accommodate that. And we'll look at that more in a minute. So because we've transposed everything up to the 5th, we have kind of launched ourselves away from the tonic and into the area of the 5th. Now, what if we didn't want to do that? What if we wanted to stay close to the tonic with the answer? We can do that, and that's what's called a tonal answer. What we do with a tonal answer is we cheat just a little bit, okay? So typically, if this is going to go 1-5, this is going to go 5-1. So this can be super confusing, and I remember when I learned this being just like scratching my head about this for a long time. So let me try to find a good way to explain it. Let's imagine this was not an A, but was a G. Okay? Now what has happened here? What we did is here we went G to D, and then here we went D to G. We stuck close to the 1 by cheating us down that one note, right? So instead of doing a perfect 5th here, we did a 4th so that we would not get in the way or not move to the dominant area for here. We would stay close to the tonic. So we cheated a little bit by keeping us close to the tonic. And this works really well because very, very often in a fugue, the first interval is a fifth. You see that all the time. And the way you do this little tonal answer cheat is you make the answer a fourth. That makes it feel like this is like 5-1, and then we're still in G here, right? G minor all the way through here with little ones and fives, but we're in the key of G minor. And then if we do this, we're in G minor. Now, if we cheat that one note down a little bit so that we stay close to the tonic, what happens to the rest of this? Well, we stick with the transposition of a fifth, but we might cheat on a couple other intervals as well. What we need to do is keep the general shape of the answer similar to the original and the original subject, and as many of the intervals as possible. But if we need to nudge an interval a little bit in order to keep us close to the tonic, we can do that. Okay? So that's the difference between real and tonal answer. Let me give you the technical definition here. A real answer is an exact transposition of the fugue subject up a fifth or down a fourth. A tonal answer modifies the initial intervals and scale degrees of the subject slightly so that it does not express the dominant too strongly. Cool? So that's a real and a tonal answer.